My kid went on an overnight school trip. I got multiple messages and emails from the principal saying he had snuck out in the middle of the night and jumped off a dock into the lake. When he got home, we asked him about it. He started laughing. He thought we were messing with him because he had no idea what we were talking about. My kid can be a turd, so I emailed the principal and a couple teacher chaperones to get more information. The teachers told me they had no idea what I was talking about. It was the first they were hearing about any incident at camp, etc., etc. Principal went silent. Dodged my emails and calls. A week later, she apologized to my son by saying, "Sorry, I must have mistaken some wildlife for. Tell your mom you're all good." Never heard from her directly, and a year later, he's still going on field trips and there was no follow-up. Such an unnecessary heavy accusation. Never really regained confidence in the school leadership.
I was in first grade when Freddie Mercury passed away. I vividly remember because I loved listening to Queen as a kid and adult, and being so sad he had died. Our first grade teacher should have been fired and banned from working with kids for the shit he did to us. I'm still bitter about it, 30+ years later. Fuck him. I was singing "We Will Rock You" on the playground and our teacher overheard me. After recess he had me stand in front of the class and proceeded to berate and castigate me for singing a song by a dead, insert offensive gay slurs. I didn't know the words, but the way he said it, instantly knew he was being cruel. He used a bunch of other colorful language that went over my head, but I understood enough. My humiliation was topped off by a threat to never sing that song or any other Queen song again, or I would be written up, sent to the principal's office, and possibly sent home. After being thoroughly terrorized, he locked me in the art supply closet. I was not the first kid he locked in the art closet, and I definitely wasn't the last.
I was a teaching assistant in a preschool special education, primarily with kids with autism on all ends of the spectrum. They had a policy of us not being allowed to use the word no, and instead saying not a choice, and instead offering choices. Okay, brilliant. But there was an incident where a child wanted a toy another child was playing with. He started hitting him in the face and pushing him and trying to take the toy, and he was much bigger. I rushed over and said, "No, stop." I caught his hand and said, "Not a choice," and redirected him to other toys. The teacher scolded me for telling him no, and getting hands-on by catching his hands. I told her there is a time and place for the word no, and attacking another child needs immediate intervention. I am not going to reason and hope it works. I stood my ground on that one, but I spoke to both parents personally and they both thanked me for intervening.
Ick, why, but this pisses me off so bad. Kids and adults with autism are so patronized and infantilized as it is. And while accommodations definitely need to be made, it also does a disservice to not allow people to learn how to cope with things like the word no as kids. In my own personal life experience, this can be bad for rejection sensitivity and the like long term. Also, sometimes kids just don't need the choice, no matter their neurotype.
My son was being physically bullied by another kid who apparently had issues. He informed the teachers and nothing happened. He came home very upset after a week of this and finally told me. That weekend I taught my son the basics of self-defense and told him he had my full permission to flatten the bully if he tried again. Monday morning I went into the school with my son and told them that he will now be defending himself from assault as permitted by law. The school had a no-hitting policy that apparently applied even if you were being hit by someone else. I warned them that this was actually illegal and against our country's legislation, and that regardless of their policies, my son would exercise his legal right to defend himself by punching the little creep in the face as hard as he could if the creep tried to start something. Miraculously, they were suddenly able to keep the bully under control, and there were no further problems.
My 6-year-old daughter was followed by a classmate on her bus. He's not usually in that bus. He pulled her hair, punched her in her belly, punched and pinched her vulva, and put his hand in her underwear to try to put his fingers inside of her. I went absolutely feral. I called everyone. When I reached the school after I explained what happened, barely containing my rage, asking what was going to be done next and how did this boy get on my daughter's bus, all the director could think to ask me was, "Well, where is the boy now?" "He's not on his bus." Respectfully, I do not know. I do not care. I called our equivalent of CPS and everyone I could think of, made multiple complaints. He was transferred to another class and that's pretty much it. That little boy needs help. That's not normal. And little girls need to be better protected from him and others like him. Wow, this blew up. Thanks to everyone who offered advice or support. I brushed over the event. It happened over the course of about 2 weeks. At first I really pushed to get help for my daughter and she was evaluated regarding all this. It turns out she didn't view it as SA and was more traumatized by the punch than the abuse. She liked the little boy prior to this, and my poor sweet girl never experienced this kind of violence before. The boy was sent in another class, which made her happy, and she spent a day at home with us. Then, we all went to the school to talk with the principal and she told us she was eager to go back in class. She loved school. I had called our equivalent of CPS and was appalled to learn that didn't go through with anything. When I was told that, I did threaten to both go to the medias and leak the story to other moms. I told them that I was sorry for that boy as he clearly needs help. No kid does something like that at that age without a deeper reason, but that if they refused to follow through I would make sure no other child went through what my daughter went through. I never told anyone in the end, but I really wanted them to do something both for him and potential future victims. Upon hearing this, they told me that they could not release more information, but that if they didn't follow through, it meant that the parent or someone else had done something they saw as enough for the boy. We needed to keep filling complaints with different people, but eventually, someone told me she was also mother, and she knew my pain, and she vowed on everything dear to her the boy was seeing someone. Which was later confirmed by my own daughter when she came back from school and told me the boy had asked her if she had been seeing doctors as well. In the end, we really did everything we could, and for our mental health and our daughters, we decided to take a step back. Seeing us angry and crying over this story when she was just a bit scared that she had been hit was confusing for her, and she was moving on perfectly fine. She did see someone one last time who agreed that she was fine with what happened. I did call the principal again to tell him that the boy had gone to talk to my daughter, and he took care of it. Our community also rallied around my daughter. Our community center offered a free meal once a month after the bus ride home, a pizza night where everyone on the bus socialized, which reduced bullying, forged friendship, and made sure that the kids knew who was supposed to be on the bus, meaning they will spot an intruder next time. We are so grateful for this initiative. We also contacted the bus company to know how this could have happened, but never got anywhere with them. Regardless of everything, my daughter is fine, and it made me realize that I need to deal with my own trauma regarding SA in order to be a better mother in case something ever happens again, as schools are not helpful. Also, we never knew his parents. We had just started school and we only moved here a couple of months ago. They told us they were cooperative. Maybe they didn't even know the boy had been, probably, abused. Maybe it was an uncle or grandparent or neighbor. Maybe it really did help him. I hope so. I hope one good thing came out of this at least, but I will never know. And I did try to file a report, but since he's under 11, it's useless here. He cannot be accused of sexual assault here under 11. Also, I was so happy. I always encouraged my daughter to confide when something weighs on her mind and always gave her the tools to recognize when something feels wrong. She has a beautiful emotional intelligence. She knows her body parts and which should be private. She felt safe enough to tell us as soon as it happened. She is such a gem. And sorry for my English, I speak French.
When I was in high school, I went into my math class. 2 girls I knew told me they thought they saw one of our classmates with a knife hidden in his waistband. I asked if they were going to tell the teacher. They said no because he sits on the other side of the classroom, so it's not like we would be stabbed. I went to tell the teacher. The teacher made a phone call, and a few minutes later, the student was called to the office. Next class period, I get called to the office. The administrators grilled me aggressively about it, as if I did something wrong or wasn't on it with the other student. They also searched my bag. When they found nothing suspicious on me, they showed me the 10-inch hunting knife they took off the student. They told me that he said he brought it to scare some kids who were picking on him, but he never intended to use it. This was 2 years post-Columbine, and the school had a zero-tolerance policy. The student was sent back to class, and his father was called to come pick up the knife. There was no other punishment. The next day, the whole school was gossiping about the situation, and they all knew it was me who turned him in. The 2 girls who originally told me they saw the knife were pissed at me for telling, because now everyone knew they were also involved and feared retribution from the knife guy.